Welcome back to the Perek Project. This is a super exciting episode because in this episode we complete the Perek Project, where we have looked at Pirkei Avot, at Ethics of the Fathers, and looked at the timeless wisdom that it contains within it and seen how relevant and how much it can add to our everyday life. But there's more, because we're also going to have a sneak preview at our new exciting series that we are going to launch on the podcast. I'm Gila Ross, host of the Power Up podcast, and I thank you for tuning in and listening. Okay, so let's start with a story. Rabbi Yossi ben Kisma was once out walking, and a person met him. And the person's first question to him was, "Where are you coming from?" And Rabbi Yossi responded, and he said he was coming from a place where there were many Torah scholars. And the person said to him, he said, "Will you come and live in my place? I will give you loads and loads and loads of money." What he was asking him to do, he was asking him to leave the place where he lived and come and be the rabbi for the community, the place where he lived in. But the way that he asked the question alerted Rabbi Yossi to something, and Rabbi Yossi realized that he wasn't asking him to come and be their spiritual advisor. He was asking him to come and be an advisor for them, to serve them, as opposed to be a leader for them to learn from. And Rabbi Yossi refused. And he said, "I wouldn't do it for any money in the world." Why? Because a Jew needs to live somewhere where authentic Torah study and authentic Torah growth takes place. He said to him, he says, spiritual wealth is much more valuable than riches. And he quotes King David. He specifically chose King David because King David was someone who was exceedingly wealthy. And if someone who has the wealth can say that spiritual wealth is more important, then it means something. And he told this person, he says, at the end of our lives, what does a person take with them? They don't take their physical things, they don't take their riches, they don't take their gold, they don't take their money. The only thing we take with us are our Torah and our mitzvahs. When a baby is born, They come into this world with clenched fists, and it's symbolic of the fact that we want to get it all. But at the end of a person's life, their hands are open. And that's symbolic of the fact that we cannot take the physical things with. We can only take our Torah and our mitzvahs, and that is what is worth investing in. And meanwhile, in this world, the Torah that we invest in, it illuminates our path in life. It gives us the confidence to make our life's decision, knowing that we have that compass that can teach us right from wrong. And finally, Rabbi Yossi reminded the man that money comes from God. So he's telling him, you think you can tempt me to do something that's not going to be right by giving me all the money in the world? No, I recognize that money comes from God. So if I do the right thing, I will not lose out. And in fact, there are 5 specific things that God designated to advance the world and through which we can develop our relationship with God. And those are, number 1, the Torah. As we've said, it's the blueprint for the world. It's our compass in life. Number 2, it's heaven and earth. That means that everything in this world that God has created in order to give us the right conditions for us to connect to God and to fulfill our purpose in the world. The third thing is Abraham. Abraham was the first person who showed us that we can live in this physical world and yet transcend it and yet become spiritual beings. We can live in this world and elevate the mundane. And we, as the Jewish people, we continue Abraham's message. We are God's messengers in this world. We continue Abraham's mission, and we show we are a light to the rest of the nations. We fulfill God's wishes in this world. And the fifth thing is the temple. The temple, we obviously don't have it nowadays, but it was a place where people could clearly see, without any distortion, the hand of God. Nowadays, it's a little bit harder for us to see it, but when we train ourselves, we can also see it in our life, the hand of God, and how everything that God does is for us. And it's important to know that in spite of these 5 special things, in fact, everything that God has made and everything that happens to us has its place in God's plan, and it's up to us to decide how to use it, and it's up to us to decide to take it and to make something of it. Which brings us directly to the launch of our exciting new series. We have a lot of exciting things planned for the podcast, so stay tuned. One of them will be morning mindfulness. And one of the things that we say in the morning is we say that God has provided me with everything that I need. And when we stop and when we think about it and when we realize that we have in our life not necessarily everything that we want, but everything that we need to fulfill our mission in our life, wow, that can give us a whole different perspective on our day. Thank you so much for listening. I'd love to hear from you if you listen to the Perek Project, whether you listen to just a few episodes or whether you followed through and completed the entire series. I'd love to hear from you, and I'd love to celebrate with you. Thank you for spending your time listening, and wishing you a great day.